Ladies and gentlemen, live via satellite from Los Angeles, California, Mr. Antichrist superstar himself, Marilyn Manson.
How's it going, New York? I chose to speak to you in a square because I think we're kind of conditioned to listen to people when they're in the shape of a square. And also, here in Hollywood, this is where we give people what they want, violence, I guess. That's what it seems to come down to. But what I wanted to talk to everyone today about, I don't really want to preach, I just want to more bring up some questions. And since I always tend to be a scapegoat, I thought we'd talk about blame. Right now everybody wants to blame music, they want to blame movies, but you know, have we forgotten that we have a dead guy hanging from a tree in our living rooms? And that's something that we've worshipped all our lives. If you think about the crucifix as the greatest mass-market piece of merchandise in the history of the world, I've always found that to be kind of interesting. We haven't really sat down and talked about that on the news. And also wondered why nobody cares when an adult commits some senseless act of violence. They don't want to have a reason why. You know, it's only when a kid does it. You know, Oswald, well, he was a commie. Timothy McVeigh, well, he's crazy. What about Bill Clinton? Why did he shoot all those bombs and kill all those foreigners? Oh, well, he's the president. You know, that's the American way. But I think what's really begun to confuse people now, why we're in this state of chaos and PC, nonsensical uptightness, it's white teenagers. That's the real enigma. Why are they mad? They're middle class, they're white, they're spoiled. Their parents even buy some of them guns. You know, what do they have to be mad about? Is it because they know America's a lie? Or is it because we make them feel like they're never good enough? You know, you're never good enough for the scholarship, for the car, for the girl. Never good enough to be famous for 15 minutes. Is it the first race in kindergarten where it starts when mom's yelling, get the white ribbon, get the white ribbon. Oh, I got the yellow ribbon. And the mom's, oh, well, you know, it's okay, you know. Then high school football games and soccer moms screaming, kill him, kill him. You know, the ancient Rome reappears. You got moms, you got kids, they all want blood, you know, they always have. It's not new. You know, people pretend like just because Maury Povich or Fox News or Montel Williams says times are violent, that it's something, you know, it's brand new. But the thing that kind of struck me that has been avoided and ignored, because people always want to point the finger at someone like me because I'm an obvious and easy target because I look like I cause problems, and I do, you know, I try to. But I think just like the gladiator, the sports hero is the icon and the status quo, you know, more than Elvis or James Dean ever was. You know, he's in the Wheaties, he's at McDonald's, he's in the movie. You know, he even has his own talk show. Well, he did in some cases. But what is that saying to kids when we think about it for a second? Sports. Physical prowess is more important than intelligence, knowledge. You know, is that encouraging America to be not only more violent but dumber? Are we going backwards on the evolution chart? You know, I actually would like to check, but it's gone because the creationists have taken it away. You can't even find the evolutionary chart anymore. I think, you know, everyone growing up knows that jocks ruled the school. You look at a movie like The Outsiders or Heathers. You know, the nerds, the throwaways, the thinkers, the daydreamers. These are the beaten. These are the kids that can't drink out of the water fountain today. You know, I don't see anyone standing up for their civil rights. And then we say, are we surprised why they're mad or why they end up dead? You know, why the violence? You know, you made them, America. You know, what do you expect? Look at Woodstock, for example. well, it was supposed to be hippies and love and PC and United Colors of Benetton and bottled water. But instead they got riots, fire, and rape. You know, and part of it, I think, is this phenomenon that, to me, is related to sports. And it's when rap and rock began to mix, and we created this oxymoron called jock rock. And to me, it's kind of like people come to a party that they don't understand, but they're just smart enough to know that they're the stupidest people there. So that makes them mad. I think that's what Woodstock was. You had these white kids in football jerseys trying to make rock and roll a sport by raping girls and beating each other up, and everybody's surprised, you know, why, you know, it's the music, you know. I think, you know, part of man's evolution is always to compete. I think parents, you know, they're driving their kids, particularly through sports, you know. You got O.J. Simpson. Oh, he can't be guilty. He's an American hero, you know. We were just about to put his face on the $3 bill. And then, you know, this Ray Caruth guy, this NFL wide receiver, just charged with murdering his pregnant girlfriend. You know, people, did they ask why? Why'd he do it? You know, no one cares why, you know. Ray Lewis, this NFL linebacker, charged with a double homicide in Atlanta on Super Bowl Sunday, the most violent day of the year, with the most expensive commercial time, of course. He's out on bail. You know, he's charged with murdering 2 people, and he's out on bail. You know, you got Charles Manson sitting in prison for conspiracy, sentenced to death, and you got this other guy walking the streets because he's a sports hero. One story that that really struck me and got me thinking about this was a few years ago. There was this teenage punk rocker kid who was run down in an IHOP parking lot by a white jock and his girlfriend in Dad's Cadillac. And this boy died because he looked different, and he was run down by a drunk piece of shit that hated him and had always picked on him. And it was a situation where you've got 6 kids who, you know, got their noses pierced, and you've got 30 jocks who are the popular kids at school, and they're picking on them. They're calling them fags. They're calling them whatever. So this thing happens. This guy kills this kid and is clearly guilty. You know, his guilt is admitted. And guess where this all-American athlete is? He's in college. You know, the jury felt the punk rocker deserved to die because he looked the way he did. And not only was he killed, but then in the trial, he was killed again because they, you know, criticized his lifestyle because he didn't, you know, wear a Tommy Hilfiger shirt and khaki pants, you know. And then the killer was even applauded at graduation because he was a football star. The American dream, strong, normal. He never spent a day in prison. So who do we blame? You know, everybody wants to say, you know, too much violence today, you know. Did anyone forget about the Civil War or the Bible or Shakespeare? You know, violence isn't brand new. And I don't even think seeing violence is the problem. I think there's a more serious problem that seeing violence as a solution to solve a problem is what is sending a bad message to kids growing up. You know, even going back to a Western, the hero kills the villain, saves the day. Children grew up in World War II, and they learned that total violence was the answer. And I think that that's where, you know, a dying culture began, and a dying culture kills everything that it touches, you know. So these kids grew up learning this. They passed these values down with pride. We won the war, but, you know, damn that Hitler, genocide and all those terrible things he did. You know, forget if, you know, we dropped the bomb, but that's different. You know, we're Americans and we believe in God. So that's where they kind of create what I like to call the God Band-Aid. you know, that's when you got a problem. You stick the God Band-Aid on, you know. My record's dirty and violent, but I just won a Grammy. So, you know, I want to thank God. Or, you know, well, someone just killed my daughter. And they're like, oh, well, it's okay. She's with God now. Oh, okay. Or, you know, you killed somebody. But I believe in God now, so, you know, it's okay. Then all the other people with the God Band-Aids see that. And they go, oh, he's like us. He's okay. Let's let him go. You know, so bad parents make bad kids. You know, that's the way I look at it. That's why I asked the question. You know, I put this up on my website. I said, is adult entertainment killing our children, or is killing our children entertaining adults? And I think that's kind of the question we got to ask ourselves today. And you have to ask yourself that every time you watch the hungry cameras at the crime scene, or at the funeral, or at the plane crash, interviewing the victims, you know, 24-hour footage, watching the guy blow his brains out on the LA freeway, you know. You know, I'm in a square right now. You're looking at me. I'm looking at myself in a monitor. You know, we sit in front of the TV, and we are the TV. We're a copy staring at a copy, at a copy, at a copy. It's like the guy on Jerry Springer, who is always looking at the monitor to see if he sees himself. And that becomes a loop, because you see it and you see yourself again and again and again. So, you know, eventually it's a Xerox that's so degenerated, we don't know which came first. And that's where we are. That's what I'd like to leave you with.